You've mentioned Afghanistan a couple of times. Could you quickly tell me about your recent trip to Afghanistan and where people can watch it?
Sure. So we're recording this on Thursday, so it'll be out tomorrow, Friday 23rd, on my channel. Britannica Politica is what you want to look up, or Tourism in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan.
I'll put it all in the description.
No problem. But are you familiar with Lord Miles? So there's this chap called Miles Routledge. He realized that you can just ask your name on your bank card to be changed to Lord, and there's no paperwork, so they just do it. So on his bank cards and everything, he's referred to as Lord Miles. He went to Afghanistan just before the collapse. Everyone was saying the regime will last 2 months, so he was going to go for a week and it would be fine. It didn't. The Taliban took over whilst he was there. And he became an internet personality because he was there during the whole thing, showing everyone what it was like. And since then, he's become an adventure tourist going all over the world. When he came back from Afghanistan, we did an interview together, and he said to me, "Do you want to go back with me one day?" Haha. I said yes. I later realized he was joking quite a lot later because he told me this when we were in Kabul. So, yeah, I went with him. We stayed there for 2.5 weeks, got to see what Taliban controlled Afghanistan is like. And there's a lot of preconceptions I had that are wrong. It's unironically somewhat safer to walk down the streets there than in some British cities. He says that a lot as a joke, like, "Oh, glad we're not in Birmingham, haha," which, yeah, is a joke until you actually go there and realize it's kind of true.
All those places are safe to walk the streets. You go to, or if you went back in time and walked down the street in Baghdad under Saddam Hussein, perfectly safe. If you'd have done the same in Libya under Colonel Gaddafi, perfectly safe, because the criminals are more scared of the regime because the regime will end their life. So crime's extremely low in those places. How did the Taliban treat you? I take it you bumped into the Taliban lots of times.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, just to get back to what you were saying before I answer that, is that you're absolutely right. And it's not to say that Afghanistan doesn't have its problems. It definitely does. I'm not advising a visit before someone dies and sues me. But there are Taliban every few hundred meters, and the penalty for thievery is having your hand chopped off. So we would leave our equipment in a car in the middle of the open on a street. Everyone could see what's in there. People around there aren't rich. They could certainly do with whatever's in our car. No one would touch anything. If they did, they'd be dead within a minute. They'd have their hands chopped off. It was just, why would you steal something? You're a moron if you do. And so it is true that, I mean, the most extreme punishments do seem to have an effect. You could argue it's maybe barbaric, but I'm not making that debate. I'm just making the one that does it work, and it does, for sure. When it comes to the Taliban, how they treated us, in the video, I've got 2 interviews with the Taliban. We were out on their Independence Day celebration. So when you're talking to them in that capacity, they're absolutely fine with you, no problems whatsoever. When you're going through checkpoints, they might look at you a bit strange. You're a tourist in Kabul. But no more than anyone else would. The only problems I did have when we ran into people from the south of Afghanistan, there is a joke that when a pigeon flies over Kandahar, it covers its asshole, because everyone down there is a boy lover, as they call it. It's a very old Islamic part of the world, although even that technically isn't Islamic, but the Northerners do that to girls of that age, but to boys, it gets done in the South. And when we ran into guys like that from that period, so in that place in the world, who were just in Kabul because they rotate soldiers, I found out whenever they were muttering away and we were talking to someone, the translator would take me aside afterwards and say, "By the way, they're talking about how beautiful you are. Get in the car, we're getting the fuck out of here." Because, yeah, they're blue eyes, white skin is obviously very rare, and these guys are barbarians. So, yeah, that's the only downside.
Finally, your pretty boy looks didn't do you any favors in Kabul, did they?
No, you've got to dirty up and look older, and you'll be fine.
I'd be fine.
Yeah, I think you'd be all right.
No, I'm definitely going to watch that video. It sounds excellent. So that's out next day or 2. This video won't be out for a fortnight, so your video will be out by the time this is out. But have a look in the description, everybody. Click the link, go watch Callum's video on Afghanistan. I think it's going to be really, really interesting.